All right, hey Grammar 5. Today we're doing lesson 107, using percent to name part of a group. So this is not a difficult concept. I think you guys are going to totally understand it, but it is something we should talk through just to make sure, since it is something that we talk about in our everyday language all the time. So percent is a word that means out of 100. Literally, the symbol for percent means out of 100. So when you see this symbol, and again, this darn whiteboard, you start to write on it and it disappears. Ah, there it is. So percent literally means out of 100, right? So if I were to say that 50% of Grammar 5 students like Frozen 2. Actually, I have no idea. I have no idea what movies you guys like. If we were in class, I'd be asking you guys this, but I can't ask my computer because you're not here. I'm just talking to a computer screen. All right, so if I were to say 50% of Grammar 5, really what that means is 50 out of 100, right? Because that 50% means out of 100. Now, obviously, there's not 50 of you guys. We would take 50% times, oh, I should know this. There's probably like, what, 8 of you guys? I'm gonna assume there's 8. 8 out of 1. We could then do that math and find out that 50% of 8 is 4, right? Well, you guys knew that already. So all that percent means is out of 100. So let's go ahead and read down here. It says, if we read that 50% of all Americans drive cars, we understand that 50 out of every 100 Americans drive cars. Well, that makes sense. Likewise, the statement 10% of the population is left-handed means that 10 out of every 100 people are left-handed. I wonder if that is true. Are any of you guys left-handed? I am not. One of my kids is, but carrying on. Okay. When we say percent, we speak as though there were 100 in the group. However, we may say percent even when there are more or less than 100 in a group. So, okay, let's go take a look at this then. And I think of percent really as just like a portion of a whole. That's what I think of when I think of percent. When I say 50% of Grammar 5 likes Frozen 2 or whatever, I'm not thinking that there's really 100 of you guys. I'm thinking that there's a group of you guys and the percent represents a portion of that group. So let's go ahead and do example 1. It says if 8 of the 20 students are boys, what percent of the students are boys? So we have 8 boys, right? Out of, that obviously spells boys, obviously. 8 out of the 20 students. So we're just going to say 20 students for S are boys. What percent of the students are boys? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So there's a bunch of different ways to do this. The way Saxon that we're doing it here is they want you to get to a total of 100 in your denominator because we can easily read a percentage when our denominator is 100. So if we multiply both the numerator and the denominator by a factor of 120, then maybe we can find out the percentage of boys that are in the class. Well, if we choose to multiply by 5 over 5, because 20 times 5, ugh, that's supposed to be a 5. It's terrible. I'm not even holding down on my mouse. All right. All right, here we go. We're going to do it again. 5, right? There you go. So 20 times 5 is 100. 8 times 5 is 40. So 8 out of 20 is the same thing as 40 out of 100. Well, when it's over 100, we can just read it as 40% of the boys are, or 40% of the students are boys. All right, let's try it again. Let's try example 2. I'm going to bring it all the way up to the top of the screen, and I'm going to clear this board. All right, let's do it right here. It says there were 400 pieces of candy in all, and that's a key part right there. When we know the total, that's our denominator. So there's 400 candies, right? 400 C. If 60 pieces were chocolate, what percent of the candy was chocolate? Well, we know that 60 pieces were, I'm going to say CH, right? Were chocolate. What percent of the candy was chocolate? Well, again, I want to get to my end goal of my 100 denominator, right? Because when we know our denominator is 100, we can just read our numerator and that's our percent. Well, we've got a larger denominator here, so we're going to have to do the reverse. We're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same factor. 400 divided by what is 100? That's 4. So we're going to put 4 on top too because we know that whenever we multiply or divide by the same number, we're really just multiplying or dividing by 1. 4 out of 4 is 1. So 60 divided by 4 is 15, and 400 divided by 4 is 100. So we have 15 chocolates. which means that 15% of the candy was chocolate. All right, so sometimes though you're going to get problems where the factors are not easily divisible to get 100. So if that happens, let's take a look of what we would do. So let's say you have 1/6, right? You have 1/6 and you want to get to 100. Well, there's no clear factor. 6 times what, right? Well, I'll give you a trick. You do 1/6 and you multiply by 100%, okay? And so what you end up with is 100% divided by 6. So now we're just going to set this up as a division problem. So 6, 100% divided by 6, and you'll see the math right over here, yields you 16 2/3%. So we know that 1/6 is equal to 16 2/3%. Okay. All right, let's do example 3. Clear this board. All right, example 3. It says the team won, 2/3 of its games. Find the percent of its games that the teams won. It's the same idea here. There is no clear, easy factor that we can multiply 3 by to get to 100, right? So instead, we're going to take 2/3 and we're going to multiply it by 100%. And what you get is 200% divided by 3. And when you do the math, like they've already done here, you find that 200% divided by 3, or 2/3, is 66 2/3%. And what that means is they won 66 2/3% of its game. Now, how you win 2/3 of a game, I don't know, but there you go. There's the math. Okay, so here's the lesson practice, guys. Go ahead and do that now. Make sure you get it checked, and then hop onto the mixed practice, and you'll be done. And that is that. So then tomorrow we're going to do lesson 108, and on Friday you'll do lesson 109, and you will do fabulous. Okay, bye friends. See you tomorrow.